Hey there, water signs. It's good to see you all gathered here together today. I decided to do something a little bit differently for these videos, and I am doing them in groups. And there are a couple of reasons for that. The first one is that when I sat down to do the mid-September readings, I really felt strongly that the readings that I did earlier for the first half of September are still the ones energetically that are for everyone. I think I was a little bit ahead of the energy on those because I've gotten a ton of people in the past couple of days leaving comments on those videos saying that they're really resonating with them. So I feel like collectively, if you have not watched the sign-specific readings that I did for September 1st through the 15th, go find those on my page. I'll try to remember to put links to them in the description box if you want them that way. They are the most recent sign-specific readings that I've done, and they have like a neon sort of theme on the thumbnail of like two pinkies interlocked, I think. So that's how you can find them. So go and watch those if you've not watched them. If you did watch those already, you might want to go back and watch them again just to refresh your memory, because I did put those out at the very beginning of September. But I think energetically, those are still the readings that are going to click the most in terms of what's left of the month of September. But I didn't want to leave you guys hanging completely without any sort of a check-in mid-month. So I decided to go ahead and do a reading based on the upcoming equinox, which I'm super excited about. As a young Scorpio, the weather turning cooler and summer coming to an end with the leaves changing colors and falling to the ground meant one thing, that my birthday was swiftly approaching, and I always got excited. And that continues to this day as an adult Scorpio. I feel like it is absolutely 100% approaching birthday season. My birthday is on Halloween. And so the 1st of October through the 31st of October, I consider to be my own personal birthday season. So I'm super excited about the equinox. Beyond that, I just, this equinox is a time for finally getting to rest from all the work that we have been doing. And the days are shorter and the nights are a little bit longer, and we start to turn a little more introverted in our thinking and our focus. And we are able to look at those darker areas of ourselves a little bit more easily and deal with them. So I think that that is an awesome thing to happen in terms of collectives. And that's the other reason why I'm doing these readings based on signs. So welcome to the little family reunion, water signs. I feel like I've talked to you guys enough. I'm going to go ahead and click you over to a different camera angle really quickly so that I can show you the spread and walk you through what we're going to be covering in this particular video. Let me do that right now. Okay, so here what you see, this is the deck of cards I'll be using for you guys today. This is the Fountain Tarot, in case you're curious about it. What I have designed for you guys for this particular reading is going to be a them and you style of spread, but I did it a little bit differently. So we're going to start by looking at them. We're going to look at their fears, their feelings, the block in their way, what their desire is, and any secrets that they have. We'll cover that part up here first. And then we'll take a look at you. And for you, it's really more, what should you do? How should you act? Why did this happen? And any advice or guidance that wants to come out. I'll do oracle decks mixed in with this for you guys. We'll also pull a card here for just the overall energy out of the deck. So what I'm going to do is, I think I'm just going to actually show you guys the shuffle so that you guys can see that. But I'll probably speed it up. I did shuffle this deck a lot before sitting down to record, so I'm not going to spend a ton of time shuffling it. So maybe what we'll do, actually, now that I'm thinking about it, let's just do a couple of cuts here. I feel very much drawn to do this in a specific way. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to put this off to the side for a second. This is the oracle deck. I want to just start with the oracle cards. This is what's going to go in the center with the them you. I just want to get some insight from the oracle deck about whatever this connection was. This does feel very much like it's a love reading, but this could be anything in terms of like, if you've had any sort of issue recently with a friendship or anything going on with any sort of connection that you have. But again, it is a dem and you spread. So let's see what wants to come up from the Oracle deck just about the connection in general, any insight or guidance, anything that needs to be said or heard about this connection from the Oracle. Okay. So I'm just going to flip those over for right now. We'll get to those. So with those being out, let's start working our way around the top here. Again, I'm going to use this deck. So let's see what we can get for the fears of the other person. What is the fear of the other person? What do they fear? What are they afraid of? What is stressing them out? Okay. So we have the fears here. Let's talk about their feelings. Let's get insight into their feelings. Good. What about their block? What's blocking them or keeping them from making progress around this? What's holding them back? Whoa. That one flew out across the room. Luckily, I could reach it. What is this other person's desire? Okay. Well, there are 4 cards there, but you know what? I'm going to let you guys have them. This person apparently has a lot. Wow. The cards are just going crazy. All right, so that one's going to be for their secret. Now let's look to you and your advice for water signs. What should the water signs do in this situation? What is the advice for how they should approach this? Okay. How should they act? How should the water signs act regarding the situation and this other person? How should water signs act in terms of the situation or the other person? That's way too many cards. You guys can't act like 6 different cards, even though that is a water sign thing that we would probably want to do. But let's try to get 1 or 2 cards regarding advice for how the water signs should act with this person or within this situation. How should the water signs act? Okay, I'm going to put that one down. I felt that's how it was going to go. So let's see. Okay. Well, there we go for why this happened. So the last thing we need to see here is advice and guidance. What is the advice and guidance for water signs regarding this connection with this other person or the other person in general? What is the advice and guidance for water? Okay. Ooh. Okay, I'm going to put this sideways for right now, guys. I might, depending on what happens here, it might be clear which way it is, but it definitely was coming out sideways. But we do have the spread finished here. I'm just going to show you bottom of the deck. We have the Knight of Coins. I'm just going to clear this overlay. If you guys can't remember what each of these means, don't worry about it too much. I'm going to I'll reference it. But again, we do have the Knight of Coins coming out just as the overall energy, which I'm going to place here. And then what I'm going to do is I'm actually just going to make a cut in the deck here. Let me just shuffle. I thought I should shuffle through one time here. Okay, this card wants to come out. It's wanting to come out sideways. I'm going to place it right there for right now. We will talk about it. It almost came out the first time as well, so that definitely wants to come out. So here we have the 3 of Cups with the Hanged Man. You can see those. Okay, so I'm going to take these 2. We're going to place those there. This is already a very interesting reading. If you know anything at all about tarot cards, you're probably already ready to get into this because just these cards here coming out, this is actually a good place to get started. Okay, so the Ace of Cups came out sideways. Now, when a card comes out sideways, it can mean a couple of things. It can represent that there's a 50-50 chance, meaning there's just as much likelihood that something will occur one way as it might another way. So with the Ace of Cups coming out, being sideways like this, it might be for some of you that there is something new, there's someone new, and you're wondering exactly what might come of this. You're wondering if this is going to be something that does turn into a new relationship. And it's saying right now, energetically, it's about 50-50. What I actually feel more energetically, though, is that it's more about you, the person listening to me, um, and how you feel about this connection with this other person. I think that you feel that it's very on and off. It's very hot and cold. It's something where this person has probably been very in and out of your life. It could be even like communication itself has been very on and off, especially recently. Or what I'm getting here potentially is that you might think that it's this way. You might think that it's this way, but there is some reason to think that perhaps this is going to change and that there is going to be a renewal here. And the reason I'm saying that is because of these cards. So you had the Hangman coming out with the Three of Cups. And I feel like the Hangman represents the energy that's been going on. It is very much like what I was saying with this Ace of Cups sort of being stuck here and not really knowing exactly what is going on in this relationship, not being sure what is, not even knowing how you would define it, not really knowing how you would explain it to someone because you don't really understand it yourself. But with this Three of Cups coming out upright, what I feel from this really is, this can represent like celebrations and friendships and that sort of vibe. But what I'm really getting here is more about collaboration. I feel like this person, you are going to have something that not necessarily, I don't want to use the phrase picks back up because I don't feel like that's the right vibe. I feel like whatever existed before, that is something that is no longer, like you can't go back to that, I guess is what I'm saying. You can't go back to that vibe, to that energy with this person. So it doesn't necessarily feel like something starting up again, but it does feel like having interaction with this person again, being engaged with this person again, having dialogue and communication with this person again is the energy that I'm getting from it. So I want to take a look at these oracle cards that came out again, just around getting some insight just in general about the connection between these two people before taking a look at them. So the first one that we have here says, my vibes speak louder than my words. Okay. And we also have hope is the conduit for miracles. Okay, so very interesting oracle cards coming out here. I'm not going to spend a ton of time talking about the oracle cards, but I will say what I get energetically here is that I feel like both people involved in this, and this is something after the full moon. That full moon had a lot of energy behind it, and I feel like a lot of people were really heavily impacted, to be honest. And I think what's happened is that full moon just really created a situation in which places that felt like there wasn't hope or there wasn't a chance, where it just felt like something was done, there's been this renewal of hope. And I'm really curious for the water signs how you guys are feeling about that. Water signs are the ones that are very, very, our home resides within our emotions and our feelings. And, when we feel something, we feel it very intensely. All of the water signs do. And we aren't afraid of feeling those feelings. It's something that is pretty unique, I think, to water signs, is that we really don't have a lot of fear surrounding our emotions and our feelings. We are actually very comfortable feeling them, and we enjoy it. We truly enjoy having access to really deep and rich, intense emotions. So when we feel a shift from something feeling hopeless to having hope, it can feel a little bit like miracles could happen, because having that quick of a shift is significant for us, because we don't typically go from emotion level 1 and then jump to emotion level 10 and then back to emotion level 1. I think lots of people think water signs do that because we're very emotional and we can be very intense. But in between 1 and 10, where we differ as water signs from some of the other signs, is we might have 1,000 different levels between 1 and 10 of happiness or sad or worried. And so we tend to go through a gradient of emotions, and it might happen fairly swiftly, but it's hard for us to go from feeling hopeless to hopeful. It takes a little bit of us maneuvering through those emotions to get us to that point. Okay, as water signs. my vibes speak louder than my words. What I'm getting from this is that you might be saying one thing in terms of what you're thinking, what you're feeling, how you're doing, what you're focused on. Outwardly, you might be giving a very specific type of vibe. I'm going to switch over because I want to actually talk to you guys for this. So what I'm feeling here is that you're definitely holding a lot of things pretty close in terms of what you're feeling and what you're really trying to manifest and what your emotional and spiritual energy is going towards. You're holding that pretty close to your heart, and your vibes are mirroring that. The energy that you're putting out, how you feel to me right now energetically, that's what I'm feeling. But in terms of what you're saying, you are trying to appear quite detached. You're trying to appear like you're not engaged in things that you actually very much are in your mind and in your heart. You're just not being very open. It doesn't mean that if there are crosswatchers watching this, it doesn't mean that the water signs are being dishonest. They're just being very guarded. They're being very protective of their energy right now. And I think that the full moon is very responsible for that, because it opened up a lot within water signs. And just thinking back about the water sign readings, there has been a theme with all the water signs about getting to this place of not having so much heaviness with our emotions and lightening up a little bit. And I think the full moon just really kickstarted that to the point that it was overwhelming for a lot of water signs to shift out of thinking about the world as being fixed, meaning, well, this is how it is, and this is never going to work out, and that's never going to change, and this is never going to be how I want it to be, to suddenly having these thoughts and these feelings internally of, I don't know, maybe there is hope there. Maybe I can make that thing work. Maybe I didn't understand exactly what was going on in that situation with that person, and maybe I should change how I feel about this. And having that nudge internally for water signs to change how they're feeling that again, like, we are so connected to our emotions and our feelings that when we get an intuitive hit around that part of ourselves to shift something, we really pay attention to it and we try our best to accomplish it, because that's really where our intuition and our connection with, our higher selves and our guides and our angels, that's where we get that. We get it very much from our feelings and our emotions. So I just wanted to talk to you guys directly about that, because I just felt like I needed to be talking to you and not just using my hands. So let's go back to the spread, though, because I think that wraps this up in terms of what type of energy we're talking about. So let's take a look at the other person here. Let's see what came out for their fears. So coming out for their fears, they have the 9 of Cups reversed. This is interesting because this card actually does represent a Pisces, and that, again, the full moon was in Pisces. But energetically, what's really interesting here, and I have my Rider-Waite deck just in case I want to clarify, and I might want to clarify this a little bit because the energy coming off of it's a little strange. Mostly because this is around their fears, and let's see what wants to come out of this deck to clarify before I say too much here, because I need some clarification. Clarify the 9 of Cups reversed for the other person's fear. Clarify the 9 of Cups reversed. Okay, so coming out here, we have the Knight of Swords as a clarifier. That did come out upright. So yeah, what I'm seeing here is that this person is actually, you might be dealing with someone who, they're in a very good space right now. They're in a really good space in terms of feeling happy inside. They feel very much at peace internally. And that's why I was saying it felt a little weird to me, because it's in the place of fear, but the card itself felt very good. But I think what's happening is they're feeling a little bit of fear around this, because they want to be able to hang out in this energy. They want to be able to stay in this energy of feeling like they they found their happiness. They've gotten to a place where they actually feel good inside, but they doubt it. They doubt, not so much that they doubt that that's how they feel, because they feel it, right? They know that's how they feel, but they doubt that they're going to be able to keep it going. They're not going to be able to maintain it, or keep it. They're not going to be able to stay there, basically. Okay, so let's look at their feelings, because I'm really curious here. So we have the Three of Coins coming out reversed. So how they're feeling right now, since this is a love reading, I'm going to read this through that filter. They really just want to be on their own right now. And I think it's related to this. I feel like I'm going to talk before I flip over their block, because I want to see whether this card will clarify what I'm getting energetically. But I feel like what they think here in terms of this inner happiness that they found and this peace that they found, their concern is that if they add someone else to the mix, if they were to, like, let's say, bring you back into the mix, or it almost feels like anyone, right? Like, even if they like share with, even if they share with their friends, like, I'm having a really good run of luck, or I feel really good lately, they almost feel like that's going to jinx it. So they just want to be on their own, because they feel like, as long as it's just me, as long as I'm the only one that has any sort of input here, as long as I'm the only one who has any sort of influence over how I'm feeling, maybe that way I can keep this going. But I feel like if I add anyone else in, it's just going to be derailed. So let's take a look at their block here. Okay, so we have the Knight of Swords coming out again. Yeah, it's this Knight of Swords is this energy is an energy that it's very fast thinking, and what I get from this energetically is more like it feels frenzied and a little bit chaotic. Honestly, it's this very rapid thinking about all the things that could possibly go wrong. Because the Knight of Swords is a very ambitious, focused on success sort of energy, okay? But with this Knight of Swords being here as a fear and a block, they're overthinking it. They're thinking way too much, and it's almost obsessive thinking. It could be an air sign that you are dealing with. It doesn't have to be, but with this Knight of Swords coming out twice, that could point to there being, air sign energy, specifically with the Gemini. It could also mean a Taurus. But don't get too caught up on the signs. I just feel like with it coming out twice, I wanted to mention that. I'm really curious about this stack of cards. This represents the other person's desire, and you had 4 cards that came out. So you have the Ace of Swords coming out with the Page of Wands upright. Then you have the 5 of Cups reversed and the Emperor reversed. So let's just talk about this a little bit. So I'm going to start with the Ace of Swords. This feels very good to me. Their desire here is to really have a breakthrough moment and to be able to maintain this new way of thinking, new way of feeling that they're having, whatever it is that they've shifted that's really brought them a lot of internal happiness. They're wanting to have that stick. They're really wanting this to be the new way that they think. And also beyond that, they feel like they're seeing things clearly for the first time. And I think that includes you. This Page of Wands, this is very interesting because I love this card because it represents a sort of free-spirited energy, and I want to just try to get to focus because, you have this child who's just waving the wand and just having so much fun and not a care in the world. And that's how this feels. And it's understandable why this person would be a little bit cautious, would be a little bit concerned. Like, there's no way life can stay like this. This feels so amazing, right? And here is where this starts to come out for them. Because, again, under the desire, they have the 5 of Cups coming out reversed. And what this represents for them is coming to the realization that the way that they can maintain this energy, the way that they can continue to feel this Page of Wands energy is by finally forgiving themselves. Just 100% here, they are going to, if they're not already doing it, they're going to go through a situation internally where they just start to look at the things that they've done wrong, the mistakes that they've made, the things that they've lost, the mess ups. They're going to start focusing on those things. But because they've been in this energy and they really want to maintain it, and they have this fear of losing it, whereas typically going to that place and thinking about those things would make this person get very depressed and withdraw and start to fall apart and become very moody. Instead of sort of doing what they would typically do, they're actually when the Emperor comes out reversed, typically in a reading, it isn't necessarily great energy for me. But because this is showing up under their desire, how I'm getting this is that they're going to embrace dealing with a lot of the anger. They're going to be really focused on doing things in a way that they're going to be, it's selfishness, but in it's like a healthy type of focus on themselves is what I'm getting here. And they're going to be able to look at all of this stuff and really forgive themselves. And it's going to feel very intense. There's a lot of really intense emotions that they'll have to deal with and go through, but they're willing to do it this time because they realize that if they process these emotions, if they actually let these emotions go, then they get to maintain this Page of Wands vibe. They get to maintain feeling really good, of feeling like life is rich and there's lots of potential and things feel really happy and light. Okay, so this person really is, this is an interesting journey for this person. And I'm curious for the people watching, does this surprise you about this person? Is this what you thought they would be doing? Is this where you feel like, are you shocked by this, or does this confirm something that you were like suspicious of? So now let's look at this person in terms of their secret, okay? We have the Eight of Wands coming out reversed. So I'm going to clarify this with a card. Clarify the Eight of Wands in reverse. What does the Eight of Wands in reverse represent for this person's secret? Okay. Tower came out as a clarifier for this. Okay, so here's what I got from this. Before I clarified what I was getting from the Eight of Wands, and the reason I wanted to clarify it is I felt very much like this person had come to an internal decision. They had made up their mind about something, but they were resisting it. They were resisting the decision that they had made because it didn't feel like what they expected. It didn't feel like the conclusion they thought they would reach. And it ties back into this Knight of Swords vibe of them feeling very like concerned. So what I get here is that this person, the Tower moment that happened between these two people that put you into this space of, flipping back and forth between the Ace of Cups, being in this Hangman type of energy. But like I was saying, ultimately, I feel like there is some sort of reconnection with this person. Whatever that Tower moment was, this person felt like, no, you know what? I found my happiness after this, and there's no way I'm letting anyone else in. I'm not letting them back in or anybody else. I'm on my own. I'm going to do this solo because I don't want to lose this, right? But then they realized, they start looking at things and they go, oh, wow, there was a lot of stuff that I did. There was a lot of things that I didn't realize, and I have to deal with that stuff if I'm going to stay happy. I have to process this stuff. But in doing that work, it made them start to think about like, well, maybe this other person, maybe it wasn't all them. Maybe I had something to do with this too. Maybe I had something that came into play with this Tower moment between us. And if that's true, then maybe I misunderstood a lot of things that they were doing or saying because I was taking it in a very specific way. Maybe I should think about this a little bit differently, right? And that's where this starts coming in, right? Them having hope, it actually starts to give you hope, and then you opening up and having hope starts to do the same for them. And no matter what either of you are saying, no matter what you might say, the energy that you're giving off, the vibes that you're giving off are absolutely 100% creating the situation of openness. Okay? And it's interesting because I want to talk about this over here now that we've sort of like worked through this, because this starts to make a little bit of sense to me. So we have the Knight of Coins coming out reversed, and I don't necessarily see it the way that I see this is right now, there's not a lot of work being done with these two people. There's not a lot of work happening on this connection, but that's just how it appears, because overall, both people here are being very strict with themselves about how much they allow their mind to focus on this or to think about it. And the reason for that is because historically, I think there's been a lot of negative feelings, a lot of negative emotions around this connection. And so you just are like, you know what? I don't want to think about that. I don't want to feel that right now. I don't want to deal with that. I don't want to have to process anymore. So I'm just going to pretty much avoid this. And I'm not going to do a lot of work here. But it's gotten to the point where that you've just felt stuck in that avoidance energy. And so now it's, once you've allowed yourself to shift a little bit and to say, well, I don't know, maybe I should pay some attention to this. Maybe I should put a little bit of effort or energy into this because I've been avoiding it for so long. I'm actually starting to feel like maybe there's a little bit of hope that this might not be as, like, I feel like some of you are willing to say maybe there's another shot. But I feel most of you are to the point of saying maybe we don't have to hate each other. Maybe we don't have to be the monster in the other person's story. Maybe there's some hope that we can at least, make amends, understand each other, feel like we can forgive ourselves because we were forgiven by the other person, forgive the other person as well because we realize we weren't completely faultless. We played a role in this as well. And that hope energy just starts to shift this so that you start to feel really stuck. Where you feel overall in terms of the energy is that you just feel stuck and you're wanting to figure out what you need to do to break free from it. Okay, so that's why I wanted to go here, because now we're going to move, for the person listening to me, we've explored the other person, we've explored the connection, we've looked at the overall energy going on here. Now we're going to move to you and talk about what you should do. Okay, so in terms of what you should do, you have the King of Cups coming out reversed. Now you have the king of your element here, right? This is the King of Cups. This is the king of the water signs. And it's come out reversed. And it's interesting because, as a reader, I do tend to, I can get very specific with my spreads. And so this is what to do. This is actual advice from the cards of what to do. So I'm going to focus on the positive aspects of the king when he is reversed, the King of Cups, because this can represent being very manipulative. It can represent moodiness and a coldness. But what I actually feel energetically is that you shouldn't do that. You should probably really not manipulate or toy with this person, because I feel like when they come to you, they are going to come and speak with honesty. They're going to come and speak with sincerity. This card, what it feels like energetically, is saying to focus inwardly on your feelings, work on processing those feelings, really try to focus on finding hope, really shift out. If there's anything that you feel that's still hostility or anger or resentment about this situation, resist the urge to, if this person comes in, resist the urge to come at them with games or come at them with emotional immaturity or coldness. Don't try to manipulate them, because they'll know that. They'll see that. And if they have shifted into hope about you and they've started thinking about this tower moment from a different perspective, and they come back in and what they're greeted with is a version of you that seems like you haven't changed, you haven't learned, you're still very bitter, you're still very angry, they're going to shut down. So if that's what you want, if you want this person to go away, then maybe that's what you should do. If you don't want this person to come back in, don't give them any hope, don't give them any emotion, withhold that emotion, approach them from a place of cold, detached emotion. Don't be cruel, don't be mean, but guard yourself if that's what you want. But if you want this connection to actually return, if you want to have this become something, then you have to deal with what's inside of you and get yourself to a space where you are coming from a space of hopeful energy and openness. Okay. And forgiveness. That's very, very important here. So how to act when this person comes back here. You have the Knight of Wands coming out upright. That is very interesting because where is it? So remember, for this person, I said the Page of Wands, this very free-spirited energy, that's really where they've been. That's that energy that they're really loving and they're wanting to maintain. And so how you should act, interestingly enough, is to embody the Knight of Wands. Now, the Knight of Wands is very similar to this Page of Wands. It would just represent a slightly older energy. So this other person might be younger than you. But the Knight of Wands is a very energetic, passionate, adventurous energy. And this card actually represents Scorpio and Sagittarius as the signs that are embodied by this. So it's a very impulsive type of energy. And it would make sense that if this person comes into you and they're coming in with this Page of Wands, free spirit, open type of energy, because they've healed this Tower moment and they're happy with how they've been feeling and they release these fears, right? And they decide to come into you. If you have gotten yourself into a space of hope so that when they come in, you just say, you know what? And you just act on impulse and you follow whatever your emotions and your feelings do. If you want to get carried away, you get carried away. If you want to get swept away by this person, you allow that to happen. You're open to the adventure of it. And it's this very passionate sort of response. That's how it's, what to do and how to act. That is what's coming through from the cards. Don't come at me in the comments, please, because I'm just delivering what the cards represent. You can fact check me if you want to. It's what's coming out here. Now, you did have another huge stack of cards that came out in terms of why this happened. You just had two. The Page of Swords coming out with the Three of Wands. Wow. Okay, let's talk a little bit about this page first. The Page of Swords, when it is reversed, it can represent a hasty energy, but what I actually feel more from this is this notion of one or both of you, in terms of relationships, had an energy of really saying that you wanted a relationship, really saying that you wanted to have a connection with someone, really being in a space of, just to go back to this from the very beginning, saying you wanted this Ace of Cups, right? Like you said, this is what I want, and this is what I feel, and this is important to me, and this is exactly where I want to be, and all this, right? But there was nothing that backed that up. You would give up on this emotion, or give up on either this. What I'm saying here is this: it could be them, it could be you, it could be both. I feel in a way like it was both. You would check out of the relationship. You would give up on it very easily. You would write it off as not being real. And there was lots of talk. There was lots of romantic talk, but the actions didn't really back it up. Okay, that's what this page feels like. There being a lot of talk and not a lot of substance there. And this Three of Wands coming out reversed, I think this speaks to why this was. Because this, again, it feels like both of you. There was a lot of negative thinking inside yourself about your worth and whether or not you deserved to have this, whether or not you could trust it, because you feel like it's all that negative self-talk that water signs can do to themselves about, I'm just going to mess this up. I'm just going to hurt them. I'm going to be too much for them. I'm going to be too intense. They're not going to be able to feel what I want them to feel. They aren't going to be serious. It's all of that thinking going on inside that then filters out and makes us not be able to really engage and open up and be connected to another person. Okay. All of that stuff needed to be healed. And this relationship was the way to do it. This was the person to be able to do it. This was the connection that would make you unable to maintain being cut off, unable to maintain tricking yourself into saying that you don't care, that this person isn't really important, that they don't really feel the way that they feel. I've been dying to get to this card because this is the advice and guidance card, and it wanted to come out sideways. It absolutely came out when I was shuffling sideways, and I resisted the urge to reject it because for advice and guidance to be sideways is going to drive me crazy. But we have the Seven of Swords coming out here. This is very, very interesting, okay? Because what I feel is happening here is the advice and the guidance coming out is it's saying that you have a choice to make, that this can go however you want it to go. And I think I've sort of been doing that going through this reading and saying, well, if you want them not to come back, behave this way. And if you want them to come back, behave this way. And this could be them, it could be you, right? There's lots of possibilities here. And so you're going to have to make a choice. Now, what's really interesting is that, let me switch you guys back. So let's talk about the Seven of Swords. So on one hand, we have a situation where you're being called forward to really put in the effort, really persevere, really like stick to it and keep going. And if you do that, then ultimately you're progressing and you're leading yourself closer to wrapping up a cycle of progressing through something and getting to whatever your goal is. Okay. And on the flip side, we have a place where you're just so exhausted and you're so worn down and you're so defeated that you just decide to give up. And I think that's where a lot of you guys find yourselves right now, is feeling like you were like done with this, feeling like, okay, you know what, I give up. This is too much. It's too crazy. It's too intense. It's going to take too much. I can't hurt and unpack things and deal with, you know, the things that I need to do. And also what I heard in my head at that point was, and why should I keep doing all this personal work? Why should I keep trying to heal all this stuff? Because they're not doing it. They aren't doing that. But obviously from what we saw on the spread, the other person is actually doing that. And even if they felt for you to the water signs, like, oh, I'm not going to bring that water sign back because they're not doing anything to make themselves be, you know, they're just going to come in and ruin everything and mess my life up again. They realize when they come in and you don't respond to them with any anger and you are different and you do shift and this Knight of Wands is the vibe that you give them, then they think, wow, maybe they have changed. And there's this curiosity that happens with them about you and vice versa. And that energy and that spark pops back up again. But it's only if both of you are willing to have done the work and you've really been doing things and having that growth and letting things go and figuring out how to forgive and how to get yourself into a happier, lighter space, right? If both people come in from that lighter, happier space, then they can interact with each other. But if they don't do the work and they try to come back together, both people are just going to throw their hands up and be like, I'm done. I can't do this anymore. This is not going to work. This does not feel good. And they'll give up. And so it makes sense why this Seven of Swords came out the way that it did. So what I want to do here is I just want to switch you guys over here one more time. We're coming up on like 43 minutes or so, but I did some I gave some blank space at the beginning of the recording, so when I edit, I can drop the background noise down. So we're probably more around like 42 minutes once I do some editing. So I just want to go back to this Oracle deck, and I want to see if I can get an Oracle card and a card out of the Rider-Waite that hasn't already shown up, just for each sign. Okay, so what I'm going to do for the what I'm going to do here is just feel my way through. So I'm going to go for Cancer first. There's for Cancer. Let's get one for Scorpio. And then see what wants to come out for Pisces. Okay. So then I'm just going to give this deck a shuffle here. This will just be sort of a wrap-up advice specific to each sign here. I'm really curious from you guys what you thought about this. I'm really interested to see how this works in terms of whether the reading does resonate across the signs. So if you guys leave a comment, make sure that you also include your sign, because I would love to be able to see whether it's consistent, whether it's just, you know, lots of Cancers this resonated with, or whether we do have, you know, between each. So let's see what wants to come out. That one right there. Wanted to flip out. What about Scorpio? Any last insight, advice, guidance, clarity for Scorpio? Scorpio. Flipped. And Pisces. What wants to come out for Pisces? All right. So, Cancer. Coming out as your oracle, it says, I am a spirit having a human experience, and I'm here to get closer to love. So that is your oracle advice. And that came out here with the 10 of Pentacles. So keep in mind, Cancer, that even if things have been tough, even if things have been hard for you recently, that it's okay. Even in those dark moments, what's great about water signs in general is, we take our pain and we take the sadness and we take the experiences that we have in life and we turn those into emotional intelligence and knowledge. And it helps us to really understand people and understand how not to give up, how not to get burdened by things. We realize that when we allow ourselves to feel the depth of something, when we allow ourselves to feel, really, really sad, really, really hurt, then the smaller pains, the smaller hurts and sadness that happens in every day, it doesn't feel as intense to us because we've experienced things 100 times worse, right? So it helps us to become much more resilient and to be stronger, right? I think that's just what's coming out here for Cancers in terms of advice. And remember, your whole goal is to get closer to people, to feel more love, to feel more connection and attachment. So just keep that in mind. Scorpio, let's see what's going on here. So it says, I find a deeper meaning and personal growth amid the discomfort. It's what I was just saying, right? And you have the Queen of Cups coming out here, which is awesome. Scorpio, what I think this is saying here is whatever you're feeling, whatever it is whatever feelings you find yourself in right now, whatever emotions you're going through, that's fine. It's absolutely fine. Even if it's painful, even if it's just uncomfortable. I think what's interesting here is if you look, you literally have the full moon. So Scorpio, whatever happened for you around the full moon, whatever emotions were triggered, whatever was brought up, whatever comes in for you as a result of that full moon, it's fine. And it's going to have something that really has a deep meaning and is going to allow you to have a lot of personal growth as a result. The Queen of Cups coming out here is just saying 100% that you're where you need to be. You're in the flow. You're stable. Your emotions are, even if you're feeling very intense emotions, you have them in check. You are preventing those emotions from spilling out and getting all over everything, but you're processing them and you're feeling them, and it's good. So awesome card coming out here. Pisces says, when I accept the love of the universe as my primary teacher, I will always be guided back to the light. I've been talking for a long time. Card coming out here, you have the Hermit coming out reversed. Pisces, here's what I feel here. If you've been hiding out and withdrawing and not really interacting with people, pulling your energy back away from someone, it's time to stop. It's time to stop that, because the universe wants you engaged. The universe wants to lead you back into that lightness and bring you out of the darkness and the sadness. But in order to do that, you have to accept the love of the universe. And the way to accept the love of the universe is through our connections with other people and forming those bonds and letting those bonds deepen and become more clear and more intense. So let me know what you guys thought about this. This is different. This is the first time that I think this is the first time that I've done a reading that is a group reading like this. But I think that went well. I'm just curious about how it resonates with each of the signs and what the signs take away from it. So again, please take a moment. If the video did resonate with you, or if you just enjoyed this, give me a thumbs up. If you want me to do more videos where it's not necessarily sign specific, but it's element specific, or maybe I'll do readings based on, some other groupings of signs, I'll do mutable and cardinal and fixed readings maybe. So if you want me to do that, leave a thumbs up, leave a comment, let me know what you guys want. If you hated this, don't give me a thumbs down, but leave me a comment and let me know you didn't like it and you want me to just focus on each sign individually. I'll try to listen to you. This was fun for me because I felt like I was reading for a much bigger collective energy. And so it stretched me a little bit in terms of keeping the energy and figuring that out. So I had fun doing this. And if it seems to go well, and if you guys like it, this would be something I would definitely do again. Water signs. I think that's it. I think that was an awesome reading. I will be doing some other videos specific to the equinox that I'll post actually around and on the equinox. They won't be readings. They'll actually be videos that are just about the equinox and some cool things about that. So be on the lookout for those next week. And in the meantime, again, this is basically a mid-month check-in, but if you want to go a little bit more in depth, if you want more clarity, go back and watch the readings that I did for the first part of September, because I feel like that is where you're going to find the most answers specific to your sign. I think I was ahead of the game on those, and I think most of you are just going to be going into that energy now, so they'll probably make a little bit more sense to you now than they did if you watched them before. And if you didn't know that they were there and you haven't watched them, then go watch them because they're brand new to you. And I do feel like that energy is going through to the end of the month. So Cancers, I give you guys a hug and a warm cooked meal, a home cooked meal. See, I don't cook, so it would probably be something microwaved or brought from a restaurant, but it would be food and a hug to you guys. I hope that you do well. Scorpios, if you need me to just beat somebody up or threaten to beat somebody up, or you just want to vent or complain, or you just want to sit and be moody and not have someone talk to you, I'm there for you. I feel you. Pisces, if you just need a moment, take a moment. If you get overwhelmed and confused by what you're feeling, that's fine. It will start to make sense. Don't try to force it. Don't try to rush through it. You guys got this. Giving you guys reassurance. I feel like I'm the wizard giving out like rewards, like, you know, the heart and the brain and the courage. So water signs, love you guys so much. Thank you for letting me do your reading. I will see you guys for the next video that you tune into. And if you are not yet subscribed to the channel, why are you not subscribed to the channel yet? I see the statistics, and like 60% of the people who watch my videos consistently aren't subscribed. Subscribe to the channel. Help me grow the channel. It helps other people find the readings, and it makes me feel like I'm special. So help me feel special. If you watch this video, if you're still here right now, why are you not subscribed? You sat with me for like nearly an hour of your life, and I felt like we had a bond and a connection. But I mean, if you don't subscribe, I'm going to start to question that. So just hit the subscribe button. It's really quick. It's easy. Nothing bad happens. Anyway, bye guys.